YouTube was good. Just chike coming at you with another video, man. I want to talk about how to be more consistent, why you're not consistent with your workouts, and just want to harp on why consistency is the most important thing, probably the only important thing when it comes down to fitness, because to a degree, with consistency, you can have room for error. You can do something that's 80% efficient, maybe 70% efficient or optimal as far as workouts go. You can be 70% optimal with your workouts that you do and 70% efficient with the diet that you eat. And by that, I mean maybe not the best workout for your chest, or maybe not the best workout for your shoulders or whatever, or maybe not the best overall, the best diet for building muscle and nutrition. And you should be improving those things. But the guy who wasn't as optimal for 7 years is always going to look better and lift better and perform better than the guy who's been optimal, the most optimal on and off for 5 years, for 4 years. The guy who's only been off a month, on a month, off 2 months, on a week, off 3 months, on 2 months. That guy is not gonna beat the guy who's been consistent for 7 years. And it really only takes a month to get to the point where you're actually seeing the gains and the improvement. It takes a month of 5 days a week hitting the gym to see the improvement. So the question is, what the fuck is going to get you going back to the gym 5 days within the same week for 4 weeks? What's going to make you do that for 2 more months, right? And that's the question, to be or not to be. So in this video, I want to go ahead and talk about it. So how to be more optimal. And I'm going to refer to my notes here in a second. When it comes down to being optimal, you want to do something reasonable. You want to be reasonable with yourself. What does that mean? I see some guys online. I be on online communities, people who are trying to become more masculine or self-improve, etc., etc. Excuse me. And they'll be wanting to just do the most. I mean, talk about yeah, I'm trying to eat 4,000 calories a day, 6,000 calories a day. You know how much food that is? 4,000 calories is a lot of food in a day. Now, some may call me a pussy and be like, bro, I did it. Hey, props to you. If you can do it, listen, if you can be on God mode for a month straight, do it. Don't listen to me. Do it. But if you're a normal person who works a 9 to 5 and doesn't have time to do certain shit, or may not be as motivated, or have these other different limitations, maybe not limitations, but obstacles in their way, I'm making this video for the people who are trying to find their way into fitness, for the beginners, right? And maybe some of the intermediate lifters. That's who this is for. It's not some of you guys who bodybuilding is your goddamn purpose and you're eating 6,000 calories a day like a zoo animal. That ain't for. It's not for you, okay? But you want to be more reasonable. And I see these guys, young guys who are fed up or who are emotional. They're all on their emotions, and they're saying, "I'm starting a 6,000 calorie planned diet. What should I eat? What should you eat? You should eat everything." I don't know what to tell you. Eat everything that you can find. Eat a rock on the ground for all I care, because 6,000 calories isn't sustainable. You eat 6,000 calories on Monday. Okay, then you have to do that Tuesday through Friday. No, scratch that. You have to do that Sunday, and you have to do that for 4 weeks and go to the gym. You have to do that. Can you actually do that? And the answer is probably no. Same with losing weight. Some people are just saying, will be like, "Oh, I'm gonna eat just salads. I'm gonna go vegan," not knowing what the fuck that means. Because I promise you, if you go vegan for the first time, you're gonna do it wrong, because you need leucine, which is a complex protein not found in a whole lot of plants unless you find soy or black beans. And you're still gonna fuck it up. I'm sorry, I have my beef with vegetarianism. No pun intended. However, people go above and beyond trying to lose weight. I'm gonna do extreme hit training workout and eat just salads. Okay, that'll burn the weight for sure. That'll burn the weight for sure. Can you do that for a month though? Can you do that for a month though? No. No, you can't do that for a month. So come on over. Come on over to Just Chike. All right, we're gonna talk about how to be reasonable. What are some practical steps that you can do to be reasonable? But you need to drive down the main point, to drive the main point home. You need to be reasonable with yourself. Instead of putting on 6,100 calories in a day, or 4,000, upwards of 4,000 every day, go ahead online, look up total daily energy expenditure calculator. That's TDEE calculator, Tango Delta Echo Echo. Look up TDEE calculator. Find out how many calories you need in a day to sustain yourself, and find a way to get those calories in, split across 3 meals a day, and then just add a 300 calorie surplus snack. That's it. If this is a little caveat, but if you want to lean bulk, what you can do is just make sure that most of those calories that you're consuming are meats, with meaning protein. Make sure they're more protein dense. You want to get more protein. So maybe instead of a 300 calorie carb snack, you can get a 300 calorie protein shake, because you don't know, but them protein supplements that you have, they have calories. Proteins are calories. Protein is calorie. All proteins is they're just stuff that builds tissue. They build every piece of tissue in your body is protein. You're literally protein. Protein is the dust of the ground that God created us with. That's all proteins are. They're just building blocks. Okay, they have caloric value, and so do carbs, and so do fats. But you want proteins because if you're trying to lean bulk, if you're trying to shred fat and burn and build muscle, because proteins are not the prioritized macronutrient when it comes down to immediate fat burning activities. They are normally used for sending workers to repair muscle. Now, you can burn proteins if you're trying to burn fat. You can't end up burning proteins if you're in a severe carbohydrate deficit. If you're in a carb calorie deficit, your body will be like, okay, fuck. We need to start eating proteins because we don't have shit to eat. We don't have shit to use. And that's why when you see people in Nazi prison camps, they didn't come out looking jacked, okay? They didn't come out looking jacked. They came out looking skinny and malnourished. You see people in Africa, they're not like lean. They undergo muscle atrophy because their body literally starts to eat itself. So, and that's why I also say, like with people who are trying to do weight loss, moving on from the lean bulking topic, going extreme with weight loss, instead of sitting up here and trying to make this big old grandiose plan of doing an insane HIIT workout, first of all, look at how much you work out on a regular basis. Do you work out 5 days a week? No, you don't. I'm just going to answer that for you. No, you don't. If you're watching this video, you probably don't. If you're overweight, you probably don't work out 5 days a week. But let's pretend that you are. Let's pretend that you do work out 5 days a week, and for some reason your genetics hate you and you are still overweight. Well, then look at how you eat. Do you eat sugar? Do you drink soda? I got a video on sugar. Man, I should make a video on sugar. Do you drink soda? Instead of sitting up here and making this grandiose plan of just a 2-hour, 3-hour HIIT workout every single day that you saw online for $19.99, how about you go ahead and just look at one meal that you can sacrifice and cut it out and just switch to 2 meals a day, right? Just switch to 2 meals a day. Just go to bed hungry. You can be hungry and still have energy. You can be hungry. You can have 2 meals in a day in which you can have enough glucose in your body so that you can sustain you through a 24-hour period and still get less calories in. And then before you work out, get a small carbohydrate snack, 200 to 300 calories. Because as opposed to those 300 calories that you eat before a workout, as opposed to the 1,000-calorie meal that you eat in the morning or lunch or dinner, you can sacrifice that for a 200, 300-calorie snack 30 minutes to an hour before your workout outside of your other meals. And I know this may sound really confusing on YouTube because I'm just talking to a camera, I'm not talking to a person. But that's why I say guys, go ahead and hit me up on Instagram. I'm willing to give personal advice to people who are trying to find their goals. But the what makes it different is I'm making shit that's sustainable and doable for that you can do consistently every single day without wanting to blow your damn brains out, right? Or throw up, or go ahead and jump into a pantry full of Oreos and chicken feet and go crazy, right? So you have to be reasonable. Second thing is, when it comes to exercise, you want to do what works for you. You can see by my YouTube icon, I have a pretty crazy looking back. Okay, I got a pretty crazy looking back. All right, Teenage Mutant Ninja fucking Turtles. All right, let's get to it. Did you know that I don't do lat pull downs? What? Chike doesn't do lat pull downs. I don't care about them. What did I do? What do I do? I like lateral grip, wide grip pull-ups, and I like to add weight because I think I look cool and I feel like a demon lord when I do it. And what is the lesson in that? It works for me. It works for me. And because it works for me, I come back to the workout every single day. Well, every single time, every single week, because I hit back only once a week with my pull day. I do a push-pull legs split. But you have to find out what works for you. It doesn't matter what split you do. It doesn't matter if you do full body every day. Well, actually it can. It can. That's a little too advanced. If you do full body every day, if that's what makes you cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs and you want to do full body every single day and that's what keeps you going back to the gym, that's fine. Okay, go ahead and do it. Just make sure you know that you need to give your muscles time to recover. You may want to have more recovery days, but you need to simply just build a habit. Just build the habit. That's kind of the main point that I'm trying to drive home. The reason I'm saying do what works for you is because I want people to build a habit that they're going so that they can keep up with working out over a long period of time. And then you can go ahead and worry about being more optimal. Then you can worry about it. Because when I started, I could have swore I was hitting upper body like every single day, and I just ignored legs. And then I started hitting legs when I got to football, and then my nutrition was kind of like poor. I wasn't thinking about nutrition a whole lot, and then I had these other things. But the one thing that stayed consistent throughout those entire 7 years of my training program is that I fucking loved the gym. I liked going. And then I learned to not like dirty foods. And then I learned to actually have a consistent split. And then I learned certain workouts that were more optimal for certain muscle groups, and then so on and so forth. But you want to build a foundation of simply just being repetitive and with going to the gym, you have to do what works for you. I don't like flat bench. I only do it just to see what my max is, or just to see how much I can do on flat bench. I like dumbbell presses. Okay, I like dumbbell presses. I like getting 125s and hitting that shit for 6 until I shit myself and putting the weight down. That's what I like to do because I don't have to worry about the bar crushing my neck into 2 different pieces. But that's what works for me, and me doing dumbbell presses for a long period of time enabled me to reach a 315 bench. I didn't work my way up to a 315 bench by benching. I worked my way up to a 315 bench by doing dumbbell presses. I don't do lateral pull downs with the machine on the cable. I do weighted pull-ups, and I worked my way up to a point where I can do weighted pull-ups with 245 plates hanging off of me. But now when I go to the lat pull down machine, I can do all the weight like I own the damn thing. It doesn't matter, right? Do what works for you. And that kind of goes to my third point. You need to do repetitive movements. Try to do repetitive movements, meaning if you're gonna do dumbbell presses, you should stick with dumbbell presses for at least a month before you move to something else. You need to choose a workout that you actually really like with the muscle groups that you're doing, or the ones that you can tolerate, and then move on. But you want to repeat the movements. Why? Because fitness is so funny and the body's so amazing. Your body gets used to doing a specific movement, and that movement is what grows the muscle. People have this idea that the muscle is getting stronger, and because of that, it's being able to handle more of a load. And that's 70% true. The other truth to that, that's true, but the other truth to that is your muscles also getting used to doing the movement. So this is gonna get kind of wonky. Let's say I were to like flat bench and I was just a flat bench fanatic. I could hypothetically have hit more than 315. I probably could have hit 335 because my muscles have gotten used to doing the movement. But if I were to go ahead and go to the dumbbell presses, it's also possible that I would be able to hit 125 for 6. I'd probably be only to hit 115 for 6. You see where I'm going? The muscle gets used to doing the movement. So the meta for building muscle, it isn't switching to different movements, because then you progress in neither. If you progress in a single movement, your progress in that movement is going to exponentially increase. And even though you may go to another different workout, because your progress has increased so much with that single movement, your base strength also increased with that certain muscle group along with it. Maybe not as much with the movement, but your base strength has actually gone up tremendously, allowing you to go to another exercise, to go to another movement and still perform very well. Whereas if you are to go ahead and flip-flop different exercises and different movements every single week and every single month, maybe you can get away with every month, but every single week, you're just going to confuse your muscles. You're just going to confuse your neurological pathways, because it's really a mind to muscle connection. It's really what the brain senses within the body and decides to send hormones and peptides and amino acids and proteins to. So you want to do the exact same movement. And there's a lot more that I want to say on that topic, but I don't want this video to run on too long. But again, a consultation is what you need to really get the full extent of what it is that I'm trying to explain here. And my last point is, sometimes you have to just get fucking uncomfortable, because I preach about being reasonable. I preach about doing what works for you in the gym. And I preach about you should do repetitive workouts and keep doing what works for you in the gym. But what if what works for you in the gym is going on 1 speed on the assault bike? Okay, if it's your first day ever working out, that's not too bad, but chances are that that's not the case. You need to be willing to get uncomfortable. Sometimes you can't really give a fuck about your feelings and about what works for you and stuff like that. What works for some people is for leg day is skipping the leg day and hitting biceps, but that's not how you build legs. Sometimes you really just have to go ahead and get uncomfortable and do the workouts that you got to do to make certain goals. Like, I want to build my stamina. I don't like running, but I run. I build my cardio. I do the Stairmaster. Why? Because I want my abs to show. I want to have more stamina. That's what I have to do. Sometimes what works for you isn't efficient for what it is that you have to do. And it's a gray area. You have to have the wisdom and discernment to know what it is that works for you, and if it can be applied to growing what it is that you want to grow, and then what it is that you want to grow, and is that outside the scope of what works for you, if that makes any sense. So guys, with all this being said, make sure you stay consistent with these different sort of topics that I touched on. This should help you start getting consistent in the gym, and just staying in the gym 5 days a week for at least a month with following just a simple tweak in your diet will honestly completely change the trajectory of your growth and your life, and basically your entire physique. So go ahead, get after it, guys. But I'm gonna go ahead and go. I gotta hit legs. I gotta hit shoulders. It's already 2:30, so I'm gonna go ahead and get up out of here. Just Chike signing out. If you fuck with the content, go ahead, like, subscribe, holla back at your boy, man. Peace.